Hello, friends. This is Richard Davidson, and I'm very happy to be with you all today for our regularly scheduled meditations. I am the founder and director of the Center for Healthy Minds at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and our associated nonprofit, Healthy Minds Innovations. And I'd like to spend the first few minutes just sharing a little bit about our center and our nonprofit to familiarize you with a little bit of what we're doing in the world. I'm a neuroscientist and psychologist by training, and I have been interested in the differences among people that govern who and why someone may be more vulnerable to life's challenges, and why others may be more resilient in the face of adversity. And we have done more than 30 years of research to better understand the neural circuits that participate in these emotional processes. And we've been particularly interested in how we can nurture positive qualities of the mind to help people to cope more effectively and to adapt more successfully to life's challenges. And I often used to say that stuff happens, paraphrasing the bumper sticker, and now we're living in an era where stuff is really happening. And so we're facing unprecedented challenges. And so this work and these strategies, we think, are now more important than they've ever been. And over the last several years, we in our nonprofit and in our center have been considering ways to scale this work. The Dalai Lama, whenever I see him, always reminds me that there are 7 billion people and we need to do everything we can to reach as many people as possible. And many years ago, during one of our early meetings, he said to me that he'd like me to take the methods from his tradition, modify them in ways that would enable them to be more secular, if you will, to be practiced by anyone from any religious or non-religious tradition, to investigate those methods with the tools of modern science, and if we find that they're valuable, disseminate them widely. And that is my assignment for the remainder of my life. It is why we founded the Center for Healthy Minds, and it is also why we founded the nonprofit that's associated with our center, Healthy Minds Innovations. Healthy Minds Innovations has as its mission to take the insights that we glean from the scientific research and turn them into products and tools to measure and cultivate well-being. And I'll say more about that toward the end. Today, I'd really like to focus on one of the 4 pillars of well-being in the framework that we've adopted. So let me just say a couple of words about this framework. This is a framework that informs the services that we provide, the app that we've developed called the Healthy Minds Program, and a lot of our research in this area. And the framework identifies 4 pillars of well-being that we regard as critical for human flourishing and also transformable. Each of these we know can be cultivated, can be learned through experience and through training. And so briefly, the 4 are: awareness is the first, which includes our capacity to voluntarily regulate our attention, and also our capacity to know what our minds are doing. We call this meta-awareness. The second pillar we call connection. And connection refers to qualities that nurture successful and warm-hearted interpersonal interactions, qualities like gratitude and kindness and appreciation and compassion. The third pillar of well-being we call insight. And insight is about self-knowledge. It is insight into the narrative that we all carry around in our minds. And an important component of well-being is developing a deep experiential understanding of this narrative and having a healthy relationship to this narrative. And finally, the fourth pillar of well-being is purpose. And purpose is about identifying one's true north and then being able to see how this can manifest in all our activities of daily living. So those are the four pillars of well-being very, very briefly. And today we're going to focus on connection. So before we get started, I'd like to invite you in the chat box to tell us where you're from, to also give us one or two words right now to describe how you're feeling. How are you feeling right at this moment? And if we can just have a few people respond to capture the sensibility of the group and to have a better understanding of where we're all starting from. So please feel free to use the chat box when you can to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're feeling right now. And as I mentioned, the pillar of connection is about nurturing qualities that are important for connecting with others. And I now see some people responding. Someone talked about being helpless, being sad, feeling hopeful, a real full range of emotional responses, anxious, tangled, many different emotions that people are feeling right now. And so let's begin this period of practice by sitting in an upright posture and becoming aware of the present moment. We can keep our eyes open or closed, whichever is more comfortable. And so let's begin by bringing awareness into our bodies. And simply settling in a posture that is upright, alert, but not too tight, not too loose. And as we settle in our bodies, let's bring awareness to the recommendations that we're being asked to follow by our public health officials. And one of the important messages that I've been conveying recently is that what we're being asked to practice is physical distancing, not social distancing. And so we are fortunate to live in a world where we can remain socially connected and at the same time be physically distant. Moreover, when we engage in acts of physical distancing, we are acting not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of others, because we decrease the likelihood that we become viral vectors in spreading the virus. And so we're helping others, particularly those most vulnerable. So let's begin by spending a few moments simply reflecting on this and on this motivation, and see if we can find within us this sense of generosity for others as we all are engaged in this practice of physical distancing. During this pandemic, for I think many of us, our lives have been upended, our routines have been disrupted, and our daily life and habits in many ways have come into clearer and in many cases stark relief. We can see things around us that we may not have noticed so much before because of all the interpersonal noise, if you will, in our environment. So let's now reflect on other people in our lives who are playing some role in helping to sustain us during this challenging time. It may be our spouse, it may be other family members, it may be some close friends, it may be a person who delivers supplies to us, medical supplies, food, whoever it might be. And I think each of us has some people in our lives who we depend on in this way. So let's bring one or two of these people to mind. And reflect on how they have been beneficial in helping us. And allow this sense of appreciation to unfold. And maybe even reflect on how we might express our appreciation to them the next time we see them. And perhaps now bring another person into our mind and our heart, and see if we can find this same sense of appreciation, recognizing how interdependent our lives are and how important these social connections are, particularly during this challenging time. And now let's broaden our circle of appreciation and bring into our minds and hearts others who we may not know, but we may have read about. Perhaps first responders, people who are providing health care, during this critical time. Those who are on the front lines in one way or another. And even if we don't know personally such people, we've all seen photographs, we've heard stories. Let's bring one or two of these people into our mind and heart. And again, finding this sense of appreciation for all that they're doing. And if we were to encounter them, how might we express our gratitude and thank them, in many cases, for putting their own health and well-being at risk to be of service to others? And as we reflect and contemplate the actions of all of these people who are serving the greater good in one way or another, this is also an opportunity to recognize our deep connections, our interconnections to others. The pandemic that we're facing today is a product of global humanity. And our ability to emerge from this, and particularly to learn whatever lessons might be embedded within this, will also take us all working together with appreciation, with cooperation, with generosity, with kindness, and with determination. Each of us has an important role to play. And each of us has the opportunity right now to contribute to the greater good through the actions we are all being asked to make and the sacrifices that we all need to do. And as we draw this period of practice to a close, one of the ways in which meditation practice ends, a session ends in many traditional contexts, is to dedicate whatever merit, whatever insight, whatever learning we may have gleaned, and we dedicate it to the welfare of others. And so let's spend a few moments together reflecting on how, in a very practical way, we can bring this sense of warm-heartedness, of connection, of appreciation, of generosity to all of the nooks and crannies of our everyday life. Now more than ever, it is so important to express our appreciation when we can, to wish others to be safe and healthy. And so let's reflect on how we can do that. And for those of you who have had their eyes closed, please feel free to open them. And if you'd like, please, through the chat box, give us a word or two to describe how you're feeling now. Have your feelings changed at all? Tell us in a word or two how you might be feeling right now. I'd like to spend a few moments, just for those of you who may not be familiar, to remind you that through our nonprofit, Healthy Minds Innovations, we are offering meditation practices open to anyone and everyone every day of the week. The practice on Mondays is one that is in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking friends. And we can offer these free because of the generosity of our donors. And so for this, we are deeply grateful. We could never do what we do without them. Many people are reporting a sense of calm, gratitude, a bit more settled, more space, still anxious, but a little more space. My compass back to north, human, more focused. For those who are interested in continuing a daily practice, our nonprofit has released an app that is a science-based app, really the only app created from core principles of science to teach training in the 4 pillars of well-being that I described. The app is called the Healthy Minds Program. You can freely download it wherever you get your apps. You can go to our website, tryhealthyminds.org, to learn more about this app. And we'll put that in the chat box so you can learn more about it. And I would encourage all of you who are interested to please try and explore. In addition, we offer a program for workplace settings called Healthy Minds at Work. And for those of you in workplace settings and would be interested in learning more about this, please check out our website to learn more. Send us an email, and we'd love to explore this with you. But in the period of the pandemic and in whatever the post-COVID period may look like, I think that most of us agree that the previous path that we were on is not a particularly healthy or sustainable one. And so this is really, in many ways, an opportunity for some recalibration. And we would love to be part of that recalibration. So please reach out to us if you might be interested. So thank you all so much for joining today. We are grateful to have this worldwide community. People are tuning in from all over the world. And we really appreciate your interest, and most importantly, we appreciate your own commitment to your own well-being, because it is through that, through changing our own minds, that we will be able to change the world. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day or evening, and we will see you again very soon. Thank you.